and you get the support that you need and the model that you've got is good, then you have to be successful. It just may take you, like I said earlier, twice as long as what you originally think it's going to take.
Welcome to XPhys Biz with me, Aaron King, a podcast for exercise physiologists and health professionals wanting to grow and scale in business. So here we are with episode 1 of XPhys Biz, and I've got a friend, mentor, client, anything else that you are for episode 1.
I think I'm all of those things, Aaron.
Yeah, hopefully you won't mind me saying that you're also a client as well as I'm a client of yours, and I thought that Doug today is the best person to discuss the first topic, what it means to be an EP in business and also what it means to be an entrepreneur in general, because it all matches up. Alrighty, so Doug Downer, I think I will let you do your own introduction because it's going to be a lot better than what I would probably say. Doug is from Franchise Ready and mentor, business coach, client, works with a number of different businesses to mentor them, business coach, and franchise them as well, if that's what they want to do.
Cool. Thanks, Aaron. Look, my background has been in the business space since 1984. I've worked in the franchise sector.
Almost the year I was born.
Yeah, well, it's when you start to tell the story, you realise how old you are. So, 84, I spent 14 years working with McDonald's, which was a fantastic foundation for me in learning the principles of business and the principles of scaling something through franchising. I've run 8 other franchise systems from startups right through to 400 plus store groups. I've been a franchisor, so I bought a master franchise from the US to Australia and grew that business. It was a business coaching business, so we specialise in helping all kinds of business owners scale and grow their businesses. And then in the last couple of years, I've niched into helping businesses scale and grow through franchising, so systemising their businesses so that it helps the business owner step away and have a business that can run with them, not in place. So, franchising is what we specialise in, and we've made a business of it. There's 16 people in our team, and last year we actually supported the launch of 40 new franchisors into the Australian marketplace. So, we specialise in helping businesses scale and grow.
Yeah, so now you can understand why I thought it would be great to bring Doug on. One, I thought he'd say yes because I've known him for a while. That was reason number 1. No, I'll say that's reason number 2. Number 1 is because I actually think he's a really good person to discuss this, because he's gone through the business mentorship, franchise, and been on every single side of business, including probably being involved in one of the most successful business models in the world. Whether you agree with what they offer is different, but they're definitely, from a marketing and business machine, McDonald's is pretty well up there. So I wanted to discuss and share about what it means to be an EP, specifically exercise physiologist, because that's what this podcast is about, helping allied health professionals, helping exercise physiologists specifically as well, around what it means to start, how you can be helped, and sort of what the journey looks like. Because I think the journey for all EPs is the same as general business, the roller coaster, I guess, of starting out in business, and especially the first few years. What you offer might be different, but the roller coaster of entrepreneurship is kind of all the same. So a lot of EPs begin as their journey as an EP because they want to help people, and they want to really invest their time in helping people and go into either private practice, sports, gyms, similar roles, some case management. An EP deals with the business and the personal, and sometimes they do clash, and it's hard to blend the two things, trying to help people, but also making sure that the business needs are met. So the first thing that I wanted to discuss, I guess, is, if someone's starting out in business, so if an EP is starting out in business, what's your first bit of advice to them?
I think it's interesting, Aaron. If I go back, you and I have known each other for nearly 8 years now, and when we first met, I had no idea what an exercise physiologist was and what they did, but you did a really good job of educating us and making us realise, I guess, how different what you do is from everybody else. But I think you hit on a really interesting point. I think most exercise physiologists want to create something better for their clients, but I think often they can neglect themselves. So you're focused on the health and well-being of your clients and making their lives better. One of the challenges as a business owner, as an exercise physiologist, is that you've also got to balance that with making sure you have a business model that is effective and that can give you the life that you want as well. I think that's probably where a lot of exercise physiologists maybe fall down a little.
So focusing on other people and not being able to focus on yourself as you grow and expand and work in business.
Yeah, and I think what happens is, and look, you and I have known each other for 8 years, and we've been working together, and I've been supporting you and helping you stay on track. I think, for anybody going into business, whether you're an exercise physiologist or just a business owner, having someone that can help you with mentoring or coaching or accountability. As an exercise physiologist, you do that for your clients, but you actually need somebody to do that for you so that it keeps you on the right path.
So the first bit of advice is seek out mentors and some help. I've definitely found whether this is good or bad, people, it's very lonely at the top, I suppose. The questions, the comments, the criticisms, everything sort of flows up. And I don't think in the last couple of years anyone said, well, how are you doing, Aaron? And I guess I've come to terms with that of when you are leading an organization, you need to find peers, colleagues, people that you can bounce ideas off, and that can definitely be, your staff, your team, maybe clients or possibly not, or other people that have sort of been there where you have been before, and just sort of seeking that out, because definitely gets lonely at the top, and no one understands unless you've kind of been through that journey or going through that journey of the challenges that you might face. And I think if anyone knew all the challenges that they were going to face starting out, maybe they wouldn't start it to begin with. But I think once you're in, there's definitely some real big positives of starting out and seeing success and seeing your baby grow, so to speak. I definitely think that, I guess, taking those criticisms on in business or those challenges, I didn't expect to take everything in business personally, because I was like, no, business is business and personal is personal. But when it's your baby, you kind of take on the things that happen in your business personally.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, I think a lot of people go into business with this thought process that they're going to live the life, they're going to work their own hours, they're going to make as much money as they can. But, the reality is it is a very lonely existence. You're often the hardest working and the lowest paid in business until you get your business to a point where, you can actually live the life that you want. And I think there's a perception from a lot of employees that business owners are high flyers. They just see the good sides of the business, and there's a fundamental difference between an employer and an employee, and it's that mindset. And employees will talk to each other, but they often won't talk to their employer. And the employer often can't talk about their challenges or frustrations or the things they're dealing with their team. So having a vehicle where you can actually have someone that you can share what you're going through, because the reality is, and I've seen this in my coaching practice, I've coached over 100 business owners in the last 10 years. We've launched over 100 franchise businesses, so across all industries, is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, the challenges and the issues that a business owner faces are consistent. 75 to 80% of the challenges are exactly the same, regardless of the technical competency of that business. So being able to talk to other business owners, I really love what you're doing, with this podcast and what you're trying to do within the EP space in providing a vehicle for other EPs to learn through your experiences so that they can fast track their own development.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll take it back to something that you said before. I know you said that a lot of people in a business or employees don't necessarily understand. I've taken a bit of a different approach. Like each of our team members here, I'm pretty transparent with how things are going, because I guess when I'm so all over the place some days, that they understand what's going on. And obviously I really like having people, employees that, take on some responsibility and enjoying that, and they want that. And obviously that's part of the people that we work with here and the team and the culture and things that we've built, that I look for people that are obviously hardworking and okay working in a small business, because it's not for everybody. And it does take a certain personality to be like, you know what, we're innovating, we're trying different things, and not everything is going to work perfectly, but that's okay. Like I can count a number of times that I've stuffed up and I've had to go to the team and be like, can you help me fix this? Thank you. And, we've all made mistakes and things like that, but understanding that that's okay. Like, have you made many mistakes in business, or how many have you made? I'll say that.
Look, I make mistakes every single day, Aaron. And I think the key thing is about the best business owners are the most authentic business owners, the ones that are happy to share those failures and successes with the team. I think back 2 weeks ago, we had our team meeting and we were having some cash flow challenges, and I needed the team to understand where we were at and why it was important for us to achieve certain targets and the impact that that has on the business. And I think the more you can share with your team as a business owner, the greater chance you've got that the team will come on that journey with you. So I think, the best business owners are the ones that are open and honest. If things are going well, let them know. And if things aren't going so well, ask them how they can help.
Oh, yeah, great. Well, because I do know that from looking at the Exercise and Sports Science website, they've got some information on there around years of operating business for EPs and also how much success people are having and their turnover and things like that. Most EPs in business are earning less than $25,000 a year. And that's not that much. They're probably doing a little bit of a side business. I imagine that's not a full-time thing. The second highest income bracket for turnover, so not profit, is $51,000 to $100,000. Now, if you've got a few overheads, that's nothing, or that's probably still at a loss. There's less than 10% earning over $250,000, which if you've got a couple of staff and a facility or things like that, that's possibly not even at the break-even point as well. So there are a number of challenges as an EP in business, so it is important to sort of seek out a little bit of support, but also understanding that I think the long-term benefit is going to be great. Like, you're doing something, you're here to help people, and my goal is if I can help more people on a larger scale, even if I'm not doing it, if I'm providing the vehicle for that, then for me that's important, because we do want to support the people's needs, but also support the business needs, because by supporting the business needs, you're able to help more people. It's not about the money, but money allows you to help more people. And if that's why you go into business, then I think that's an important step. But it takes a little while to get there, and you definitely need to look at the long-term benefit, because short-term it's a lot harder. And I've probably done multiple full-time jobs worth of hours and time, and getting distracted and looking at shiny things and all of these things that you do as an entrepreneur. But I have no doubt that what we're doing and what I'm working on and what I want to do in the EP space is going to be the way forward, I guess.
It's interesting, Aaron, looking at, you and I have shared those statistics on the performance of EPs, and I guess there's two types of people that go into exercise physiology, and you've obviously got those that want to have their own business, and then you've got those that are happy to be employees, and you need both. And I think as a business owner, if you were just to look at those statistics, you probably wouldn't consider going into business ownership. So my sage advice for anyone considering, regardless of what business it is that know that whatever you think's going to happen, it's going to take you twice as long, and it's going to cost you twice as much as what you think it's going to. So just be prepared for that. But it's okay if, for those that are listening that are exercise physiologists and you want to be masters of your craft and be employees, that's great, because there are business owners like Aaron that need people just like you to help them achieve the vision and dreams that they have. But for those that want to be business owners, there are some stark realities to business ownership, and it's hard in those first couple of years. I think every business that I've had, it's been way harder than I ever thought it would be. But if you're consistent and you have the right support, you'll get where you need to go, as long as you've got, we talked earlier about having a mentor or someone that can keep you on track. That's going to help you achieve the things that are really important to you. And there's a huge amount of benefits of being in business ownership for yourself, and particularly for exercise physiologists. I think the work that Aaron's doing in helping to champion the sector is actually going to help a lot of exercise physiologists that have an aspiration of being a business owner and really making a difference.
So what other advice do you have starting out? Like, I would say that it's really important to think of the long term, what you want to do. It's okay to stuff up. Why do you think you're most successful in business?
I think it's the foundations that I learned at McDonald's. You look at a McDonald's restaurant and there are 15 or 16-year-old pimply-faced kids that are running multi-million-dollar businesses. And the reason they can is because they've got systems and disciplines and rigor. And I think that's what every business needs. Unfortunately, in Australia, 50% of business owners will fail in the first 4 years because they don't have those disciplines in place. So I think if you're thinking seriously about going into business, learn from people that have been there and done it before. If you're ever going to think about getting a business coach, get a coach that's actually run a business successfully. Now, I can guarantee that those business coaches, even though they may be successful today, they would have had plenty of failures. And that's where the learning comes from. So be aware that if you're going to do it on your own, half of you are not going to make it. One of the reasons, I love working with Aaron is what Aaron's trying to give back to the sector, but also, we're looking at franchising this model as well and making it easier for exercise physiologists to be successful. So they'll learn from the mistakes that Aaron's made, and he'll be the first one to put his hand up and share with you what they were.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of them, so I don't know which ones the biggest ones are. I did actually start, Fit Clinic wasn't the first name that I came up with. I thought, I'll be nice. I will have my initials in the name and things like that as well. But that didn't work. Ask. So they're my initials, and just trying to say that on the phone, Ask Health. People are like, Ask Help, what is this? So I obviously came up with the name Fit Clinic. Turns out the domain was available, and so that was good. The business name was available. So we were able to have that name. Obviously, blending the fitness and the clinical models in a clinic that doesn't look like a clinic, because all of our clients are clients, they're not patients, and we wanted to promote that, independence model and that support model, not necessarily just the that sickness patient sort of a model. I guess why do you think you're successful in business?
I put it back to the very early learnings that I had at McDonald's and understanding how important it is to have systems and process and some key performance indicators and measurability and really high standards. I think the success of any business comes down to standards and what you accept, because the reality is in life and in business, you get what you accept. So you've just got to set high standards for yourself, and then have somebody to hold you accountable to make sure that you're constantly improving. And I think that's really the key to success, is know what you want to achieve, have a plan to get there, and have somebody to make sure that they give you a kick up the bum when you need it and the support when you need it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this when I was going to ask you this question and we were going to discuss it. I thought, well, what's my reason why I'm successful? Well, I don't feel I'm successful just yet. There's still a long way to go. But I was like, well, I don't actually have a plan B. So plan A just has to work, whether it's a lot of espressos and lack of sleep and just get shit done, so to speak, and try my best not to get distracted by too many shiny things. But that actually happens a lot, and it's like really hard to stay on task. But I don't really have a plan B, so plan A has to work, and I don't really think I have too many other hobbies at the moment either.
It's funny, Aaron, we, having launched 100 brands into franchising, 50% of the clients that we help are millennial business owners. And it's interesting, that you talk about a plan B. I think for a lot of them, they have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, and they'll just give it a go. They take that Richard Branson approach to business. If it sounds like it's a good idea, then have a crack. I think there are too many people out there that sit on their hands and don't have a go. And what's the worst that can happen? But, if you're singly minded and focused on what the goal is at hand, and, you've got a family to support, so there's a reason that you have to make this work. But, if you're driven and you get the support that you need, and the model that you've got is good, then you have to be successful. It just may take you, like I said earlier, twice as long as what you originally think it's going to take.
Yeah, well, I was thinking I'm pretty driven and goal-orientated and things at the moment in certain tasks, but I look back at some of the other things I've done in the past, hyper-competitive in certain areas, but also in some things I've done in the past, I was probably pretty lazy because my mind or interest wasn't in it. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're driven at everything. I think you're just driven at the things that are important to you.
I think that's a really interesting point, because you can't be good at everything. I think what you've got to do is identify what are you strong at and what are you passionate about, and do that. And the things that you're not so good at, you've got to surround yourself with people on your team or in your network that are better at things that you're not. And that's really the key to success.
Yeah, I definitely think the future of exercise physiology is bright, because from a clinical point of view, like all the research and all the support is really going to support our industry of movement, exercise, strengthening, and lifestyle changes. And we're not an up and coming industry, but compared to other allied health professionals, we're still seen as the baby sibling, I guess, looking at where things are going and getting out and about. I think a few things need to change, but it's definitely going in the right direction, and the people on the ground floor need to be the ones driving and not waiting for an organisation or a professional body or someone else. We just have to do it, and enough people get an understanding of what we do, how we do it, and I guess not needing to be too precious about holding our own. Just there's more than 50% of people that should be able to be seen by an exercise physiologist just based on the chronic disease stats. So there's enough for everybody. You just need to keep at it and keep going. So I think the future's bright.
It's funny. I think majority of people that are probably listening to this podcast, and hopefully there's some of you out there that are listening. But
episode 1. So hopefully, if you might be listening to this later after we've got a few under our belt and not stuffed it up so much. Yep. Did say that there's a few stuff up, so hopefully this works.
But if I think back to when I first met you, I had no idea what an exercise physiologist did and how that was different from a personal trainer or going to the gym myself. So I think everyone in the industry it's incumbent on all of you to educate the public, because what you do is it makes a difference. And I think there is a general lack of awareness around what an exercise physiologist is. So all of you have that responsibility. And I know it sounds like I'm stroking you, but the reality is I love what you're doing for the sector and for other exercise physiologists, and trying to champion your sector, because what you do, a lot of the other parts of allied health are lauded, whereas there's not a huge awareness of what you do, but what you do really makes a difference.
Yeah. So if you could pick the wisdom of somebody dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I think it'd be someone that's alive, and it's someone that inspired me from a very young age, and it's someone that probably everyone has heard of and can relate to, and that's Michael Jordan. And just, you talked about competitiveness before, and I think the key to success in anything that you do is about the mindset that you have. And I don't know if anybody's watched The Last Dance. If you haven't, I highly encourage you to do it. And just his whole approach to what he did. And Michael talks about the failures that he had. He talks about, he's had 9,000 failures in his life where he's missed 9,000 shots, but that's made him the player that he was. And it's about that drive to be the best that you can be and expect the same from everybody else. So I would love an audience with Michael, just to, I'm in awe of what he achieved, but just his mindset.
Yeah, well, that's on my list of things to watch for the last couple of years, but I haven't got around to it like everything else. So where can people find you online?
So our website is www.franchiseready.com. So that's probably the best place to get in touch with us, or, reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. I've got, a huge following there, and happy to support anybody and growing your profile as well.
So what about social media, or do you have your team working on that, the millennials?
Yeah,
look, you realize the millennials are like 40 now. So I think a lot of people don't realize I'm a millennial technically, but people think that millennials are, I'll say mentally I'm still young, but physically I wondered how I got the same age as old people. But here we are. So
we have social media channels within our business, and I use the social media really for family and friends. From a professional standpoint, LinkedIn is really where I spend a lot of my time, and it's about creating a position in the market that I operate in. I've got close to 20,000 followers or connections on LinkedIn, and I'm seen as an authority in that space of franchising and business growth. So that's really where you'll find the majority of what I do. You don't want to follow me on Facebook or Instagram because it's pretty boring.
Oh, look, I think a lot of people that are listening, like I don't use LinkedIn. I know you keep telling me to use it more, but I haven't. I've went normally Instagram, and I've jumped over to TikTok as well, because I think that's aging up. So I don't know, maybe need to get one of your team to jump on those, where all the young, cool and hip kids are, and I'm trying to be one of them, but not working. I do think I'm young, and then I made a couple of references here, and my staff just look at me like, what are you talking about? I think I made a New Kids on the Block reference at some point. Someone said that they were wrecked, and I said, did you check yourself first? And didn't get it. All right, so maybe I am getting older a bit when the 20-something-year-old staff don't just look at me blankly with that, but
some of that's dad humour as well, Aaron, and people don't appreciate it.
Yeah, look, people have to laugh at the dumb things I say, right? No, They don't have to. No, nobody does.
Laughing at you, not what you're saying.
Yeah, it's pretty much what happens. So thanks for jumping on, and glad you said yes to podcast number 1, and hope this all works well for us both.
My pleasure. Good luck.